We have just received the Liberty Falls gameplay, and I'll be having a whole separate video just talking about gameplay stuff, but in this video I just wanted to quickly recap some of the new stuff we've learned storyline-wise. Now, Treyarch did turn off a lot of the storyline stuff. Of course, the main Easter egg was disabled, as well as all of the side quests, so there is so much left to be desired for this map, and they turned all of that stuff off for a reason, because they want to keep it a secret, of course. It does seem like this map has a lot more storyline-wise than meets the eye. Treyarch were basically silent in the Call of Duty next live stream, not wanting to reveal much about the storyline.
All right, we're headed right into Zombies gameplay here, but a few quick things for those of you watching at home. We are spoiler free today. We do not want to ruin the moment, play it at launch, so the main quest and all the Easter eggs are actually turned off. And of course, the dedicated crew is back in round-based zombies in Black Ops 6, but since Liberty Falls happens concurrently with Terminus, dedicated crew's busy. They're trying to break out of prison, so they're not at Liberty Falls. We're going to see a different set of characters played by the folks here on that map today.
And I think that's for a reason. They were a lot more open talking about Terminus and what's going on there because it's a pretty simple setup. Of course, the crew are just breaking out of the prison that they've been kept in by Richtofen for 5 years, and now they're trying to find his coordinates, at the same time rescue Maya's brother, and then try and find him. But with Liberty Falls, it's a lot more complicated, it seems, and I'm actually glad that Treyarch are keeping it very secretive and under wraps, because the intro cutscene was absolutely awesome and really leaves so many questions storyline-wise. Now, the first thing is that the Forsaken is actually the announcer yet again.
Max armor. Double points.
Now, he was similarly the announcer in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. And to this day, I'm still very confused about why he was the announcer. It doesn't really make much sense storyline-wise, and it still doesn't make much sense, so I don't really have much to say on this topic. Of course, Richtofen contained the Forsaken in the containment chamber, and that was that. Is he somehow still controlling the Dark Ether from within? I'm not exactly sure. Does he escape by the end of the game, or has he already escaped? I'm really unclear what is going on. The next thing storyline-wise is regarding Samantha Maxis, who of course takes Richtofen via this ethereal smoke. Now, I've been speculating that this is not the real Samantha Maxis. She's still locked within the Dark Ether, like all does suggest, and this is actually an AI that Richtofen had created of Samantha Maxis. And if we actually look at the containment chamber, it is not the one that the Forsaken was contained in at the end of Cold War Zombies. You can see that, of course, the one the Forsaken was held in was a lot smaller. It also had a red light on, whereas the new one is much larger. It has these hexagon shapes on the side, and it also has a yellow/orange glow to it. So this is definitely a different containment chamber. Now, there's a few different things that could have happened here. Maybe the Forsaken was just upgraded and moved into a much larger containment chamber, and that could be what we are seeing here. The second option is that this containment chamber is actually holding Samantha Maxis, or the AI of Samantha Maxis, who is then guiding us with the SAM trials via a hologram of the same thing. Maybe Richtofen just missed Samantha and he had an AI created of her to control his mainframes or his gateway on Liberty Falls or whatever is going on here. Of course, in the Intel and Cold War Zombies, Richtofen was bringing a load of metal into the town, and this is probably to build this factory that we see in the distance, as well as to probably upgrade this containment chamber or build it to begin with, as well as build all of these underground tunnels and laboratories underground. Now, like I said before, they were very quiet about talking about the storyline of Liberty Falls, and these did discuss on the live stream regarding Samantha Maxis.
Get the vibe that there was it's going to be pretty wild. I'm excited for it.
And you did talk about the end there. I'm gonna push on a little bit. You tell me no. Was that a Maxis voice that I heard there?
I don't know. And you could make some assumptions there. If you played the end of Cold War, some things happen that really kind of translate here, and you can kind of connect the points.
So is that what you would suggest players start if they want to get into the story?
While we're waiting, yeah, if you want to jump into Cold War, it's a great time to go check out those main quests. And get ready.
And they didn't really specify this is Samantha Maxis directly. They kind of laid off it a little bit, kind of implying that, like I said, there's more than meets the eye. And to me, this seems to suggest that my theory is correct, and Richtofen did have an AI created of her, and that is what we're seeing here. Maybe the AI has been corrupted or merged with the Forsaken, or maybe the AI has been corrupted by the Shadow Smiths that we saw from Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, or maybe it's been corrupted just by the Dark Ether in general, or maybe it just corrupted on its own because Samantha Maxis had powers. Maybe the AI managed to gain these powers herself. herself and gain higher sentience and was able to break free herself. That's always a possibility as well. So yeah, there's a few options here, but definitely the Forsaken and Samantha Maxis, whether it's her real self or the AI, is involved in some way, shape or form. The other thing storyline wise is that Avery Johnson is nowhere to be seen on the map. Now, as you know, there's been heavy speculation from the ending of Modern Warfare 3 Zombies because Ava was in Liberty Falls, she got dragged in by a hand that looks like Samantha Maxis, by the Shadow Smiths or whatever through the mirror, that she might have actually been taken back in time to Liberty Falls, because it is Liberty Falls that's in the mirror. You can see the giant building in the background, which is probably matches up, and it's probably the mansion that Richtofen was in the intro cutscene. But anyways, did she get taken back in time? Well, I'm not exactly sure, but Ava is nowhere to be seen in the gameplay. Now, like many people have pointed out, maybe this is just, of course, because we'll greet her in the Easter egg, or maybe even on a future map. However, I personally don't believe this time travel theory anymore. I don't think Treyarch are going to introduce time travel in any way unless they do it via a closed loop, like I've been theorizing she could have been the entity the entire time. I think that's the only way they can do it where it doesn't get complicated. I think Avery Johnson will be involved in the storyline of Black Ops 6 Zombies as well, but just as she was a child, as she was conceived. Otherwise, we're going to end up with two Avas in the same storyline. It's just going to get, I think, too messy. I personally don't think Ava is involved here. Like, we already know that Samantha Maxis is involved, potentially her AI, as well as the Forsaken. Having Avery Johnson in the mix as well would get extremely complicated. Now, like I said, maybe she's going to be involved in the Easter egg. However, if Avery Johnson caused the outbreak on Liberty Falls, like people were speculating she was sent back in time and caused it, I think we would see her at the start of the game, surely, and not just in the Easter egg, if she caused the outbreak itself. So we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, maybe I'm wrong, maybe we'll see her in the Easter egg or something like that. And yeah, maybe Ava is still on Liberty Falls, but in the future, of course, in 2021 or 2022, and maybe we're going to play Liberty Falls again in the future, potentially this time as an outbreak experience, so Treyarch can get multiple uses out of the assets, considering the Call of Duty HQ all games boot from the same engine. Ava is seemingly still at Liberty Falls. Maybe Richtofen also is taken with Ava, and they can both be playable in COD 2025 or whatever, but I think we're going to be getting Outbreak as well on the Avalon New Warzone map, and it seems like we'll get round-based and Outbreak next year. But anyways, the other thing I want to mention is that the intel system is going to be returning inside of Black Ops 6 Zombies. Now, lots of people actually hated on the intel in Black Ops Cold War because basically it was the same as the system where you had before, where you could collect scraps of paper, different items around the map, as well as radios, but you would be able to play them in game, but you would actually be able to load them up in the menu, which was much better than listening to radios like for some reason they reverted back to in Vanguard and Modern Warfare 3, which is so annoying. It's so difficult to actually listen to these things in game whilst there's zombies around you, of course. But the intel system is back. However, a big complaint in Black Ops Cold War Zombies was that the intel system was way too much, and I agree with that. As someone who has picked apart the storyline, has been paying attention to everything, my brain fries every time I try and think about the intel. I literally have a massive document on my computer of all of them, and it's just this massive thing, and when I'm making storyline videos, of course, it's so difficult to remember all of this. It's almost too much. It kind of overloads you. And another big critique of the intel system in Cold War Zombies was that main storyline things were actually included in the intel to actually understand where we were going in the future. And for example, even the setup of Black Ops 6 Zombies, you had to be paying attention to the intel. For example, the intel to the game let us know that Samantha and Weaver had a failed assassination attempt, which resulted in the death of a child called Samuel, as well as his mother. Now, we now know that from the Liberty Falls intro cutscene that this was Richtofen's family itself. However, many people are confused. They've seen this intro cutscene and they don't understand what it means, and that's because it was kept in the intel. If you haven't watched YouTube videos and you haven't listened to the intel, you're not going to know this. So Treyarch have said, moving into Black Ops 6, intel is just going to be complementary to the story, and they plan on showing more through in-game cutscenes rather than telling via intel. The intel will provide some answers, but may also leave you with a few questions, which is to be expected. So basically, it's not going to be a situation like Cold War Zombies where if you don't listen to the intel, or specific intel should I say, you're going to be left out of key storyline information. You should be able to get all of that through the actual cutscenes. Now, like they say, maybe the intel is going to provide some more answers or explanations to the stuff that's already shown in the main quest. However, just by doing the main quest themselves, you should have a good grasp of the storyline. But yeah, the intel is going to be providing a lot more context to what is actually shown in the quest, and the fact they say there are going to be more in-game cutscenes makes me think that maybe we're actually going to be getting more than just an ending cutscene for each quest, for example, and we might get many during the Easter egg itself. It's something they actually started doing in Cold War Zombies. You know, for example, in the first Outbreak quest, there's a mid cutscene, and then you also get an ending cutscene, and the same on Forsaken, you get one cutscene when the Forsaken comes out and Zykov dupes us, and then you get an ending cutscene at the end. So we might be seeing more of that, but to an even greater extent, where, for example, we might even get like 3 or more cutscenes in a single quest, at least for some maps, and this is great. great. And considering the fact that they are planning on showing all of this stuff through in-game cutscenes, it makes me think, are we also going to be seeing flashback cutscenes to understand some of the past context? Because with Black Ops 6 Zombies' storyline, we're going to have to understand a lot of Richtofen's history as well as Samantha's and what went on in their early lives to cause them to separate, as to why Weaver and Samantha, you know, had the assassination attempt on him. We're going to have to understand that. So it makes me think maybe we're going to be getting some flashback cutscenes through the quest as well. We did literally see that in the Liberty Falls cutscene. Richtofen has a dream of something that happened in the past. So maybe the cutscenes in the quest are now not just going to be about the quest itself, but we're also going to be seeing some flashback stuff to provide some important answers. So this is all really cool stuff. Now, the final thing I want to mention in this video storyline wise is regarding the elite unit that is sent into Liberty Falls, because it was actually revealed that they were not sent in by Richtofen itself. So of course in the intro cutscene, Richtofen tells Blanchard, who is one of the Project Janus security details, to call in a unit to protect the town after it's being overrun by Sam's AI or whatever. So we thought that that's who we would be playing on this map. Of course, we're just playing as operators, not a set crew, and we thought Richtofen was sending them in and they would be working for Project Janus, but it was actually revealed that they're not going to be working for Richtofen. Basically, it's an elite unit that's sent in by someone else or some other group. However, Blanchard is going to be communicating to you through the map, and he is going to mistake you for actually being Project Janus. Because he of course requests them to come in, a different group ends up turning up and he mistakes them. And I think this is going to provide an interesting dynamic in the Easter egg, because at some point he is going to realize they're not actually working for Project Janus. So this has actually really big storyline implications, because there is some other group at bay here, and I wonder if there's another group that's actually been sabotaging Richtofen in secret and might have actually caused all of these events that are happening on Liberty Falls itself. And maybe this same group were the ones who ordered their hit on Richtofen's life that Samantha gave the intel to Weaver on. That is a big possibility. There's a few thoughts on who this group might actually be. One is, I've thought maybe they could actually be higher ups within Janus, because we know of course Richtofen's been lapsing.
Panos Project Janus, Energy Research Division. It has become abundantly clear. Director Richtofen is slipping. If we fail, it will all be down to Richtofen and his hubris.
And maybe higher-ups want him gone because they don't feel confident in him as the director anymore. Another possibility is it's just a random group that we are not familiar with yet, a new group. Another idea is that it could actually be the Societe Occult that we learnt about during Vanguard Zombies, that were of course collecting the tome pages and artifacts, etc. And I've always thought that probably Richtofen was working with them, and maybe the Societe Occult could even be the original founders of Project Janus, and could even be, you know, some of the higher-ups, these uber-rich people funding the project. But maybe the Societe Occult, unlike what we thought, could actually be working against him as opposed to with him like we actually thought. So those are a few different ideas which have some major implications, because like I said, at some point during the quest, Blanchard's going to discover this is some random elite unit. Now, it could also be possible that the elite unit we're playing as could actually be the strike team from Cold War Zombies. Now, we know that Richtofen had them sent to Black Site 13. Now, we don't know if that's one and the same as Terminus, but we've not seen the strike team on Terminus, so they might not actually have been held at Terminus, or maybe they were just held there temporarily, but they could have been held somewhere else. And maybe this group that actually sends them in could have actually broken them out of prison from somewhere, and that is who we're actually going to be playing as on the map. And I think that's a very interesting prospect, because what this means is that we assume we're going to be trying to rescue Richtofen within the Easter egg, but I don't think we're going to be successful. I think that's going to be the focus of the DLC, and trying to rescue Richtofen. I think at some point Terminus are going to team with Richtofen. They're going to feel empathy and bad for what happened to his family. Weaver will feel guilty, of course, and they're going to side together to try and get him out. And I think that's probably going to happen because this elite unit has been sent in that is not working for him. So Blanchard's going to be trying to get them to rescue Richtofen. They're going to purposefully sabotage it, maybe even make things worse for Richtofen, and they're obviously not going to rescue him, and then that's going to lead into the DLC. I also wonder in the DLC, are we going to rotate map to map between this elite unit, just having operators, and then having the set crew from Terminus as they get closer to Richtofen's coordinates? That could be a possibility there. It all depends on how many DLC maps we're actually going to get. So maybe as we're playing as this elite unit, we're going to be trying to uncover the Janus scientists. Of course, we know Pericles got teleported away as well. He's been sent to somewhere. Is he in the same place as Richtofen or elsewhere? I'm not exactly sure, but we're going to try and find these scientists to try and figure out what's going on and to try and stop the outbreak. But like I said, maybe this crew is actually working against Richtofen. Maybe they were just sent in by the government as well, but Janus literally is the government as well, so it's a bit odd there that they would be a separate crew to Janus. I do think they're going to be trying to stop the outbreak, but it's really not going to be successful, of course, and I think it's probably people with ulterior motives against Richtofen. And you'll have to rescue these 3 scientists at the start of the quest.
Blanchard to Alpha. 3 Janus science staffers are missing somewhere in your AO. Locate and extract. I'm counting on their expertise to end this outbreak.
It seems like there's different survivors and people that you can come and encounter, just like on Terminus. As to why the actual Janus crew didn't end up turning up on the map and why Blanchard failed to get them in is very interesting as well. Did this other group stop them from coming? Or, like I said, is it another group that's also involved in the government that got word of the Janus team being called to come in and they blocked it and sent in another team instead? And in the live stream, they did say that they've taken a lot of inspiration for side quests from some of the real life things of the town, and there's lots of ghost stories regarding Harper's Ferry where it's based on, so I could definitely see lots of side quests involving them. And it does seem like this town was sort of set up as like this fake government town for a cover story for, of course, Richtofen's Project Janus. There's literally a trap in the comic book store, which is the same place where Miller, interestingly enough, was hiding out when her family got turned into zombies during the evacuation. There's a trap, which is the Etherilla, which is basically like an AI powered by Ethereum that shoots lasers and mows down the zombies. Very, very cool. And I assume that lots of these people working in these shops and stuff like that were actually just there for a fake reason. They were actually working on Project Janus and they had all of this secret technology installed in case something like this were to ever happen, I guess. Very, very cool stuff. Now, in the Liberty Falls gameplay trailer, we do hear this person talking from one of the townsfolk, and I guess it sounds like he turns into a zombie at the end.
There's a place just round the bend. A place by the name of Liberty Falls. We're dying to welcome you.
I'm kind of wondering if this could actually be the Shadowsmiths. I mean, they could be a blacksmith, for example, or maybe they're just one of the people that have turned into a zombie, but it would be weird why they're narrating the map, but maybe that's just for, you know, the cinematic purposes of the trailer. An interesting idea is, what if this group is actually sent by Pantheon, the villains of the campaign, this mysterious organization that has infiltrated the government and the CIA, even to the highest levels, and of course the Framing Adler, etc., and they plan on detonating weapons of mass destruction. What if they're also involved in zombies too? They're sabotaging Janus. Maybe that's even how they've gotten these weapons of mass destruction. They're actually zombies related weapons. It would be cool if they're sabotaging things not just in the campaign, but in zombies too. And maybe they were the ones who ordered the hit to Samantha. This would be a good way for Richtofen to not be a full-on villain. His motivations could have just been the death of his family in setting up Janus and whatever his goals are with it. But maybe he wasn't actually up to anything nefarious before. Maybe he was just doing stuff with the Dark Ether, not necessarily evil, for something else. Pantheon were against that. I've actually come up with another idea since editing this video, and I think this is the most likely one, to be honest, is that this group was specifically sent in by Dr. Peck, because we know that he's going to be trying to locate the location of Richtofen in the Easter egg on Terminus. So who exactly will be giving him the coordinates? It has to be this elite unit. I wonder if Peck could have even broken out the strike team, or he just had some other group do his bidding for him, but he has sent them in to try and locate Richtofen at the same time he's breaking out Terminus. But of course the group are quickly going to realize that he has been taken away. Maybe they were not even anticipating a zombie outbreak on the map. They're going to turn up, greet the zombies, meet Blanchard, etc. And then as Peck is communicating to them in the Terminus Easter egg, they're going to realize that Richtofen's been taken, which is going to mean they're going to have to escape Terminus and make their way over there. Whether that happens in one map, they're just there straight away on the next map, or it might take some time. They might have to do some traveling, go to some zombie outbreaks in between, eventually make their way there by the latter end of the DLC. And in fact, if we look at the robot, it actually really resembles Samantha Maxis. Her bone structure of her face looks very similar, with the same purple glowing eyes as she has with her Dark Ether powers, but she's just wearing a wig. This could literally just be Samantha Maxis' AI that is Etherella. And like I said, she might be controlling all of Richtofen's devices and mainframes and robots.
But Edward, I already am.
And there is a quote from her as well that says, "I will drown this place in chaos." Suggesting that as the DLC continues, the Ethereum outbreak is going to spread in Liberty Falls to the outside areas. It does seem that Liberty Falls was designed specifically with all of these defenses in mind to prepare for an outbreak if something goes wrong. And right by where this is, it even says that she did this. Again, this could be implying that this is Samantha Maxis' AI, considering we know Sam caused the outbreak, and her voice even kind of seems to resemble Samantha.
But already am.
But anyways, that's all the storyline information we've actually learned today. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.